Howdy guys, it's Abby. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Today I'm back with another 20 in 2020 project pan update. So if you haven't seen my other updates or my intro to this, I will leave the playlist linked below to all of my project pans. Basically what I'm trying to do with this project is use up 20 makeup products by the end of 2020. We're getting close to the end. Hopefully 2021 is a little bit better, but I wanted to get use out of some older products in my collection, and I've also been testing out some new ones as well, so that's kind of been hindering my progress, I think, but I think I'm on track to being able to finish up some stuff. So I started this at the beginning of June, and I'll go ahead and recap what I've been able to finish up so far. So in June, I finished up 3 things. So the first one was this Colourpop Brow Boss Gel, and I used the shade Blonde. I feel like brow gel kind of goes quickly, like there's not much product in these anyways. Then I used up the e.l.f. Beautifully Bare powder, and I actually have another one going right now with Major Pan in it. I go through, like, brow products and powders are probably the 2 things that I go through the absolute most. And another brow product surprise was the Eye of Horus Dynasty Brow Define, and I think they only have 1 shade of this. Then in July I used up the Colourpop No Filter Concealer, and this was the shade Fair 4. For these, I bought this little, the brand's called Spatty, S-P-A-T-T-Y, I'll put it on the screen. But they have these little spatulas where you can just get all the product out, and I got quite a few more uses out of this once I took that little stopper out, and then I got everything that I could with the doe foot applicator, and then I went into the very bottom with this spatula and I got quite a few more uses out of it. And then I'm also, in the 20 items, I am counting hitting pan on something as one thing, I suppose, and so I hit pan on 2 things in July. The first thing was this Physicians Formula powder. Now I have gone through a ton of these. Physicians Formula is no longer cruelty-free, at least according to my standards. Some people think they are, but I think that's baloney. They are not cruelty-free. But I went through so many of these, and my foundation was always way too dark, but I don't think it was the foundation. I think it was this, and this just made it oxidize and was a little bit dark. So I'm not going to be too concerned about using this one up, I don't think, just because I'm kind of seeing now using different powders, especially like the e.l.f. Beautifully Bare one. This one is not good. I don't think I'm going to be able to cycle through all of my face powders, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, plus a few. I have 4 pressed ones plus a few loose ones, so I really don't think I'm going to need this anytime soon if I run out of all my other ones. So I think by the end of the year, I'm just gonna get rid of this one because I don't use Physicians Formula anymore. And then I have this e.l.f. contour palette. So I had already finished up this bronzer shade, and I'd already hit pan on this highlighter, but I did newly hit pan in July on this contour shade. And I really only use this to contour my nose sometimes. I think it's a little bit too weird to use as a cheek contour. I don't particularly like doing that anymore. I did back when I first started doing makeup, and I thought that you kind of had to contour, you know, but and I'm not going to bother with this shade right here because it's a little bit too dark for my skin tone, so there's not really anything that I could use it for. I used up this NYX On The Rise mascara. This was an okay mascara. It wasn't my favorite. I had hoped that it would be a little bit more curling, because they make it seem like it's supposed to help you hold a curl, but it doesn't really. So I'm glad that one was finished up. And then I used up this Milani Make It Last spray, and I just did a whole video about comparing this setting spray to the new e.l.f. Stay All Night spray, so I'll link that below. And then I hit pan on another one of those e.l.f. Beautifully Bare powders. There's actually not much product in these, so that's why I was able to hit pan really quickly. And then I hit pan on a highlighter, actually. I think this might be, aside from that e.l.f. palette, that highlighter was really, really powdery, and it's not strong enough, I don't think, to use on my cheekbones. I use that one kind of like in this region and on my forehead some, because it's not too shimmery. It's really, like I said, it's really powdery, so it's not too intense. But this one is kind of shimmery, but it's not too in your face like the Ofra ones or something. So there is where I am. And then I have kind of made a dip all around that pan spot there. So with this Colourpop, there's also another, the bronzer from Colourpop. I don't particularly want to support Colourpop anymore just because I've mentioned this in other videos, but I don't agree with their business model, and they've just done some kind of shady things, especially recently. So I think at the end of the year, I'm going to get rid of, I almost knocked a bunch of stuff over on the table, but I think by the end of the year, I'm going to get rid of my Colourpop stuff. Like, I want to try to hit pan on as much of it as I can, but I'm not going to be too hard on myself. And because I do have this Z palette, and all of the ones except for the square ones are Makeup Geek, but everything else in here is Colourpop. And I can make room for some other stuff because this is pretty full. And I have that other big magnetic palette, but I don't use it that often. So I'm thinking what I'll do, I'll get the Colourpop ones out of here, and then I'll put some of my most used ones from my bigger palette into this smaller one so that I can use them more. Anyways, also in August I used up this e.l.f. Ultra Precise brow pencil in the shade Taupe. I've gone through a ton of these as well. I am trying to find alternatives for these brow pencils because I just feel like I use a lot of plastic. So basically, if I only use a brow pencil, I'll go through one of these a month at least, maybe a month and a week or so. So I'm trying to find alternatives. Like, I've been using this Urban Decay inked brow. I've got it on today actually, and then I have this one from Milani, the Weekend Brow. It's one of those brush tip ones, and I really like this one. I'm just really afraid that this is going to be kind of the same deal with those other pencils. It's not going to last very long. And I also got a sample of the KVD Super Brow, but the one that I used dried out. Like, it's a brick in the tube thing. I can't use it anymore. So I did like that one, but it was slightly the wrong color. So maybe if I'm going to place an Ulta order, I might get the KVD Super Brow in the right shade. And I used up another one of the Colourpop No Filter Concealers. So I had 4 of these. I have 2 going right now, one that's too dark, but I'm mixing it with the white shade. So this was the last really good skin tone shade that I had. Did I say what shade this was? This was Fair 8. Then I used up a foundation. So this was my oldest foundation. It's the ABH stick one, and this was the shade Warm Ivory. So I don't think there was quite enough to get one more use out of it, so I just kind of called it quits. This was slightly, I'm not sure if it was a little bit too dark or was a little bit too on the warm side, because my skin kind of looks like it has a pink undertone because it's of the redness, and especially on my face with like old acne scars and stuff. And I normally go for a more neutral tone versus a pink tone because I feel like pink tone can kind of almost look orange. But I try to go for a neutral tone if I have the option between neutral and warm. But this one was too warm. So that was it so far. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 used up. So I have October, November, and December, 3 months to use up 7 products. I think I can do it. So this past month, I've only worn makeup maybe like 2.5 weeks out of the month because I was just not doing pictures or anything. I was kind of stressing about my business because I have, right after I'm done filming, I have to go get a move on sewing a bunch of stuff because I have a huge craft show coming up this coming Saturday. And yeah, so I'm going to be sewing until I can't anymore, like my fingers fall off. So sitting down for an hour doing my makeup or filming or anything wasn't really in the cards, and also just some stuff going on with like news and everything kind of was not good for my head, so I just didn't wear makeup. But anyways, so this is not like 100% used up, but it is pretty close. There might be 2 sprays left in here. So this was the NYX Matte Finish Setting Spray. I mean, I don't even think there might be any more sprays. I don't know how far down the little, you know how if the little straw thing doesn't go all the way down, it's kind of hard to get out. But mainly I use this. I actually did a whole video of where I showed you this trick where you put this on before you put primer or anything on your face, like after you've washed it and moisturized and all that stuff, then you'll put this on and it just kind of creates a barrier and helps to absorb oil from underneath of your makeup instead of trying to powder over top. And you know, it's like by the time the oil has gotten to the surface, it's already messed up all your makeup. So I use this underneath sometimes not all the time. I do have too many setting sprays and I was trying to use some of them up, so I just focused on this one. So that made 14 products for the year, half year, I guess, since I started in June. So some things that I've been working on, this KVD powder foundation, oh, why can't I open it? I did repress it the other day, so there's what it looks like now. There's hardly anything in there. If you're somebody that represses your powders pretty regularly, I try to go like the more eco-friendly route, not because usually I will mix it with the alcohol and everything, and I'll take a paper towel or a piece of tissue and press it with that. It's like for this, I took a smaller compact and just kind of pressed down with the towel on top. I tried to use one of my cloth wipes, and that just made a mess on, like it doesn't, the powder sticks to the cloth more than like a paper towel or something. So I feel like I lost a lot of the product by using that cloth. So maybe use a tissue. This Colourpop No Filter Foundation, I'm going to go ahead and mark it. I actually used more than I thought I would have because I've been testing another foundation. I can't get the cap. So if I do the same amount of progress, it might take 1, 2, maybe 3 more months. But if I use this more regularly, I maybe could use this up in less than 2 months. Like I said, I've only used this probably 4 or 5 times because I've been focusing on testing other foundations. So like I have this new one from Uma, and then I'm gonna do a review video. Why can't I say a review video on the Uma foundation? And then I also have, that I haven't even used this one yet, this is the KVD Portrait Foundation. So if you're interested in reviews on those, stick around. I think that was it for stuff that I'm kind of working, oh, well I showed this earlier, but it is the e.l.f. contour palette, and I have made quite a bit of progress on this highlighter shade. That was weird. I heard a noise in this brush cup thing that I keep, one of my brushes, like I saw an eyeshadow brush, like I heard it kind of make that little scraping noise, and the brush was just sliding down into the thing. That was freaking me out. Anyways, so this, I think I can use this up in probably another month because it's really powdery and most of it now is just kind of crumbling away when I try to use it. And I also have this one from e.l.f. So this is the Beautifully Bare face palette, and so I like the blush shades in here, but these pans are removable and like swappable. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do, once I get those 2 empty, I'm going to swap out the, well, I don't know. I don't like the bronzer in here, so what I'm thinking that I will do is just pop out this contour shade because that's really the only thing that I use from this palette, and take out this bronzer in here because this bronzer is a little bit of a weird color. It's kind of muddy. And that way I'll have one whole less palette in my collection. Because part of this as well is that we are moving pretty soon. I talked about this in a bunch of other videos, but there's a possibility that we're going overseas, and I don't want to have as much makeup as I do because that's going to be like a whole suitcase full of stuff that I may or may not even want. So at some point I'm going to do a declutter of all the makeup that I don't want to take with me. And as far as new stuff I've gotten, so I think I showed all this in video. I know I've got a bunch of drugstore stuff that I showed. Maybe did I show that KVD stuff? I really don't remember. But so I got this Uma foundation. Ulta had this for their 21 Days of Beauty sale, and I got it half off. And I am, like I said before, I'm going to have a review video coming for that. And then I got this KVD Portrait Foundation, like I mentioned as well, and it came with this free foundation brush, and this was half off as well from KVD's website. And then what made me order on KVD in the first place was this Shake Primer. So I just did a whole video about this. I believe that's the video that went up before this one, so I'll link it below. And then I got a couple of their lip products. So this one in Bow and Arrow was one of my favorites before the whole KVD scandal a couple years ago. So I got rid of it, and it's awesome. By now it would have been really old anyways, so I went ahead and repurchased it in the mini size because their minis have a ton of product in them, so there's no reason if they offer a color in the mini size go for the mini, don't get the full one because you're never going to use it up. I love the shade of Bow and Arrow, and then they had a set with the Lolita shade, but they had it in the original liquid lipstick formula, and they also had it in their new-ish cream, the EXO vinyl lip cream formula, which is actually what I'm wearing today. This is the closest that I will do to a lip gloss. It's shiny and it's not crusty drying like some matte lipsticks can be, but it's not goopy like a lip gloss, so it kind of just feels like a lip balm to me. So that's why I like this one. If they had more of these in minis, I would definitely get most of the shades. I think they only have 6 shades anyways of this lip cream. I had a couple freebies, so I didn't have any red lipsticks in my collection at all, so I went ahead and picked the Outlaw shade, which is the red. Why I quit wearing red lipstick was because every time, I used to have a little bit darker blonde hair before I started bleaching it, obviously, and if I wore red lipstick, people would be like, did you know? Has anybody ever told you that you look like Taylor Swift? I'm like, okay, I'm not wearing red lipstick anymore. But it wasn't like flattering in a way. It was more of like middle-aged men that, yeah, it was just getting creepy. So I quit that a long time ago. And then I got the KVD Super Brow sampler set. So this came with taupe, medium brown, walnut, and Roxy purple. I used the taupe quite a few times and it just dried out because of this packaging wouldn't reseal. So I'll definitely get that in the blonde shade because taupe was just a tiny bit too dark. And also something really exciting, I ordered these a while back and it took them forever to get here, but I got these palettes from September Rose. So this is an indie brand, it's black owned, Logical Harmony certified, just like everything else I use. And so I got the Brew Palette, which is what I'm actually wearing on my eyes today. I haven't even swatched these yet, I just went straight in and used it. But these colors just speak to me. Like if you've seen all my looks I do on Instagram, like this is pretty much right up my alley. The Slush palette, so they only have 3 palettes out right now. They have the Slush 2, and then the Brew palette. And the Slush 2 is out of stock, but I will definitely pick that one up when it comes back in stock. And I have not used this one yet, so this is brand new. I'm a sucker for these rainbow type palettes. And I appreciate that they have all the colors together, like they've got the purple, the blue, the greens, the reddish oranges, and the pinks and purples. And I really appreciate when brands put, like, have some kind of logical order to these instead of just having them random all over the place, because then you're like, what am I supposed to do with this? So I'm excited to play more with those. I am planning on doing dedicated look tutorial videos with both of them, so let me know if you have any like color combinations or ideas that you want to see for those videos. But that was it for my 20 and 2020 update. I'm not going to do an empties video this month because I really don't have that much. I try to save to where I have at least 10 products to talk about. There's only like a handful that I've got going now. So click up here to watch my most recent video, or click up here to watch my setting spray video. And give this video a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss seeing my face in your subscription box every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. The links to my social media and my blog will be in the description box below, and I will see you in the comments. Bye.